The first time I saw Sienna, she was standing in the corner of a crowded rooftop bar in the city, the sunset painting her skin in warm gold. She was laughing, one of those laughs that makes you look twice, like the world had given her a private joke. She was confident, magnetic, and absolutely untouchable. I was 27 then, working long hours as a project manager, too tired for games, too cautious to fall fast. But with Sienna, my guard slipped in minutes. 3 years later, I was 30, living with her in a small but stylish apartment overlooking the downtown skyline. We had our rituals. Friday takeout, lazy Sunday mornings with coffee, and the New York Times crossword, late-night talks where she'd stretch out across the couch and tell me about the kind of life she wanted. She was the kind of person who made lists for everything. Future travel destinations, baby names, even a wedding vision board long before I proposed. When I finally asked her to marry me, she said yes through happy tears, and I thought, this is it. This is the start of something unshakable. I had no idea the cracks had already been there, hidden beneath the shine. 2 months ago, we were at the kitchen table on a rainy Tuesday night, the sound of traffic humming outside the window. The table was covered in scraps of paper, guest lists, seating charts, menu notes. I was sipping lukewarm coffee when she dropped it like it was nothing. "Oh, by the way," she said, pen tapping against her list, "I'm inviting Nolan." It took me a second. Nolan? She looked up like I was slow. My ex Nolan. The name hit harder than it should have. Nolan was a man she'd been with for 4 years before me. The man she caught emotionally cheating with a co-worker named Heather. The man who married Heather a year later. I set my mug down carefully. "You're inviting your ex to our wedding?" She didn't flinch. "Yeah, we're still friends. We grab coffee sometimes." That was news to me. In 3 years together, she'd never once mentioned meeting Nolan for coffee. My chest tightened, a dull heat creeping up my neck. "I'm not comfortable with that," I said, keeping my voice even. Her smile thinned. "Seriously? Grow up about it. Vincent, it was years ago. I'm over it." "If you're over it, why do you need him there?" "Because he's part of my journey. He shaped who I am. Don't be so insecure." "It's not insecurity. It's boundaries." She laughed. Actually laughed, this sharp sound that stung more than I expected. "Boundaries? Please. You're jealous of ancient history. Nolan's coming. Deal with it." The way she dismissed me. The flicker of contempt in her eyes. That should have been my exit. I should have walked away then, before the rest of the truth came crashing down. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned back in my chair, forced a smile, and said, "You know what? You're right. That's perfectly fine." She looked surprised, then pleased. "See? Maturity. I knew you'd come around." What she didn't see was a cold spark that had just ignited in my chest. That night, while she slept in the next room, the rain tapping softly against the windows, I sat alone in the glow of my laptop screen and started searching. Nolan's social media was easy to find. His status read, separated. His posts were vague, poetic fragments about finding himself, about new chapters and letting go of the past. Friends left encouraging comments beneath them, the kind people post when they're trying to hold someone together. Then I found Heather. Her last post was 3 months old. Sometimes love isn't enough when trust is broken. I stared at the words for a long time, my mind turning over possibilities. If Sienna wanted to play games, I could play too. The glow from my laptop lit the living room in cold blue light. Sienna was asleep behind the closed bedroom door, her breathing faint through the wall. Outside, the rain had slowed to a mist, and the city beyond our window pulsed faintly with streetlights and the occasional sound of a passing car. I scrolled further down Nolan's feed. Pictures of empty hiking trails. A close-up of a coffee cup on a weathered table. Captions that sounded like therapy sessions turned into Instagram quotes. The more I read, the more it felt like someone in the middle of an unraveling. Heather's page told a different story, quieter but heavier. She looked tired in her last posted photo, holding a dog in her lap, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. The caption was just a single sentence. "Sometimes love isn't enough when trust is broken." That line wouldn't leave me. My fiancé's ex was separated from his wife. My fiancé, who'd been meeting him for coffee. My fiancé, who wanted him at our wedding because he's part of her journey. I didn't feel jealous. I felt awake, like a man suddenly realizing the room he's in is on fire. The next morning, while Sienna was in the shower, I opened Instagram again and found Heather's profile picture staring back at me. My thumbs hovered over the keyboard for a long moment before I started typing. Hi, I'm Vincent, Sienna's fiancé. This might seem strange, but I wanted to extend a personal invitation to our wedding. I know you and Nolan are separated, but you're still technically family to someone Sienna considers a close friend. Would love to have you there. I hit send. The message sat there, unread, all day. 2 days later, my phone lit up while I was at work. Is Nolan going to be there? I stared at the words for a long moment before replying. Yes. Sienna invited him. Another pause. Does she know you're inviting me? Not yet. Planning to tell her soon. Wanted to check with you first. Her reply was a single word. Interesting. A week passed. Then Heather messaged again. I'll come, but I have questions. Can we talk? We met at a cafe a few blocks from my office. A small place tucked between a dry cleaner and a flower shop. Inside, the air smelled faintly of roasted coffee beans and rain-soaked coats. Heather was already there, seated in the corner with a mug between her hands. She wasn't what I expected. No bitterness in her posture, no sharp edges in her voice, just a quiet, deliberate presence, the kind of person who speaks only when she has something worth saying. But her eyes, they looked tired in a way no amount of sleep could fix. I have to ask, she began after we'd exchanged the usual polite small talk. Why invite me? I leaned back, choosing my words carefully. Honestly, Sienna insisted on inviting your husband to our wedding. Told me to grow up about it. I figure she can invite whoever she wants. So can I? Heather let out a laugh. Short, bitter, almost humorless. She looked down into her coffee. She still hung up on him. Something cold uncurled in my chest. What? The coffee dates? Not just coffee. She texts him constantly. Tells him he married the wrong person. That's why we're separated. I found the messages. I stared at her, my grip on the table tightening. Are you sure? Heather reached into her bag, pulled out her phone, and slid it across the table. The screen showed message after message. Sienna's name at the top, her words laid bare. I miss you. After my wedding, things will be different. You deserve someone who really understands you. The cafe's hum faded around me. All I could hear was a slow, deliberate beat of my own pulse. Heather sat back, watching me absorb it. My theory? She wants the wedding. The gifts, the attention. Then she'll have an affair with Nolan, or leave you. But she needs the wedding first. I didn't respond right away. Outside, a bus rumbled past, spraying water onto the curb. Inside, the coffee between us had gone cold. Somewhere in that silence, my decision crystallized. When I told Sienna that I'd invited Heather, the silence between us felt like the air before a lightning strike. Thick, charged, waiting to explode. She was sitting at the kitchen counter, her hair still damp from a shower, scrolling through her phone like she hadn't heard me. Then, slowly, she set it down. You what? Her voice was soft, almost too calm. I invited Heather. Nolan's wife. Or separated wife, I guess. Her lips parted, her jaw tightening just enough for me to notice. Why would you? She caught herself, swallowing whatever had almost come out, then tried again. Why would you do that? You don't even know her. I leaned against the counter, mirroring her calm. You invited Nolan. I thought it would be fair. Her laugh was sharp, humorless. That's not the same thing, Vincent. Nolan is my friend. Heather is his wife. I finished for her. She's part of his life, just like he's part of yours. The mask slipped for a second. I saw the flash of panic before she buried it under a layer of anger. You're being petty. You're trying to start drama right before the wedding. I shrugged. If inviting people from your past is fine, it should be fine for me too. That's when the tears came, fast, unexpected. She pushed away from the counter and started pacing, her voice breaking just enough to feel rehearsed. You don't understand. Nolan is important to me. And you're making this about you. Why can't you just trust me? I didn't answer. Because I did trust her to be exactly the person Heather had described. By the end of the day, our friends knew. I hadn't told them. Sienna had, in a flurry of half-truths about me being paranoid and controlling. What she didn't expect was that one of them would text me a screenshot, a save-the-date photo Nolan had posted, tagging Sienna in the caption. Can't wait for this one, it read. The next week, the group chat was a battlefield. Some friends sided with her, some with me, and some just stayed quiet, unwilling to get caught in the crossfire. Heather and I started messaging more. Not about Nolan or Sienna, just about random, harmless things. She sent me pictures of her dog, sprawled on the couch. I sent her the world's ugliest latte art I'd made at home. We weren't close, not yet, but there was an ease in our conversations I hadn't felt with Sienna in months. Then, one Thursday night, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. It's Nolan. We should talk. No greeting. No explanation. Just that. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. About what? The 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again, not over text. Meet me. I could feel the night shifting around me, like a chessboard after someone moves a queen into striking distance. Whatever this was, it wasn't going to be casual. The cafe Nolan chose was on the edge of town, one of those places with Edison bulbs, reclaimed with tables and baristas who looked like they belonged in a band. I arrived early, partly to control the setting, partly to watch him walk in. He showed up 10 minutes late, wearing a black hoodie and the kind of smirk you get from knowing you're already inside someone's head. Vincent, he said, sliding into the seat across from me. Appreciate you coming. I didn't bother with small talk. Why did you want to meet? He leaned back, arms draped over the chair like this was his living room. Because things are complicated, and I don't think you realize what you're getting into. The words felt rehearsed, like he'd been waiting to say them. You mean marrying Sienna? I asked. Exactly. He paused, studying me the way a poker player studies a hand. She's unpredictable. You've probably seen that. But with me, it's different. We have history. She still texts me. A lot. I kept my face still. I'm aware. That threw him for a second, but the smirk returned. Then you know she's not over me. Silence stretched between us. Around us, the cafe's low hum of conversation carried on. Couples talking over steaming cups, the hiss of the espresso machine. But at our table, the air was tight, pulled taut like a wire ready to snap. Finally, I leaned forward. If you're here to warn me, you're too late. I've already made my decision. And what's that? That she can have her wedding. Every photo, every speech, every dance. And the day after, she's gone. He blinked. You're still going through with it? I nodded slowly. Think of it as giving her exactly what she wants. Then, when it's over, I give myself exactly what I want, freedom. On my terms. For the first time, Nolan didn't have a comeback ready. He sat there, drumming his fingers against the table, watching me like he was trying to decide if I was bluffing. Then he leaned in. You know she's going to try to come back to me. I smiled without warmth. Then you can deal with her. When I walked out of that cafe, the rain had started again, light but steady, coating the streets in a sheen that reflected the yellow glow of streetlights. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was Heather. How did it go? He thinks he's warning me. He's wrong. Good. Because there's something else you should know. A pause. She's been planning a trip. With him. Right after the wedding. The city around me blurred. Cars passed. Horns echoed in the distance. But all I could see was the mental picture Heather's words painted. This wasn't going to end quietly. The venue was everything Sienna had dreamed of. White roses climbing the archway. Crystal chandeliers throwing soft gold light across the room. Tables dressed in ivory linens. It was beautiful. It was perfect. And it was a cage I had built just for her. From the outside, no one could tell. I smiled for photographers, clinked glasses during toasts, played my part with precision. Every laugh was measured, every glance calculated. Heather was there, looking like she belonged, her dress the same deep green as the forest beyond the venue's glass walls. Across the room, Nolan stood at the bar, a glass of whiskey in his hand, his eyes never leaving Sienna. When the music shifted for our first dance, she stepped into my arms. Her perfume was familiar, her smile radiant for the crowd, but her eyes flickered toward Nolan, just for a second, just long enough. I leaned in close, my lips brushing her ear. "After tonight, you'll have everything you wanted," I whispered. "And so will I." She laughed softly, thinking it was a romantic line. But the real moment came hours later, when the guests were leaving and the band was packing up. I handed her an envelope. She opened it, expecting a note or maybe a gift. Inside were 2 documents, our signed marriage certificate and divorce papers, already filled out, her face drained of color. "What is this?" I kept my voice low, calm. "Freedom. For both of us. The wedding was yours. The ending is mine." Nolan appeared behind her then, confusion mixing with something like realization. Heather stood to my right, arms crossed, watching all unfold. Sienna's hands trembled as she looked between us. "You can't just—" "I can," I said, stepping back, "because you've already chosen him, and I've already chosen to let you." The silence that followed wasn't loud. It was heavier than any argument, thick with the weight of finality. I turned, walking toward the exit. The cool night air hit me like a tide, carrying away the noise of the reception. Heather followed, her heels clicking softly against the stone steps. "Are you okay?" she asked. I thought about it, really thought about it. Then I nodded. Yeah, for the first time in a long time. Behind us, the music started up again, Sienna's laughter spilling into the night, hollow and distant, the perfect ending to her perfect day.